cleanup of contaminated properties, redevelopment to its highest and best use, and return a higher property tax valuation to the town after the abatement period is over. The purpose of this program is to incentivize the tax abatement so that developers can actually do the cleanup and get reimbursed over the benefit of the period of either 10 years or the total of the remediation. That gap is necessary, costs are going up, and for our town, it's a conservative way of encouraging redevelopment of contaminated properties rather than greenfield sites. I was here before you at your last meeting, giving a detailed presentation, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Lou. I just want to put on the record, Kathy Ricard, we all know Kathy Ricard. She has contacted me speaking in favor of this public hearing. So I just wanted to get that on the record. I didn't want to forget that. So I would like to open it up to any council persons who may have a question or would like clarification. Anyone at all?
Madam Chair?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. So, hi Lou, how you doing? I think it's a good program. I just wanted to get some clarification on when you talk about, so one thing, you just said it would be reducing it for a 10-year tax abatement for 10 years or the total amount of the cleanup, and I know that excludes legal fees and administrative costs, whichever is sooner. So how is that? So if give me an example, like,
Sure.
does it, in situations like this, would it typically go 10 years or does it tend to, it may take 4 or 5 years and then the abatement goes away?
It depends on the severity of the cleanup
Okay.
and the redevelopment. So what happens is, for example, if a property right now is contaminated and the town currently generates $5,000 in tax revenue, the town will always receive that. Or if they remove whatever's left and it's just the land costs, the 5,000 is the threshold. We never want to take away from the town existing tax base. This program would incentivize someone, say a cleanup costs $100,000 and they rebuild a $100,000 building incurring, $4,000. That calculation wouldn't be a great investment as far as, the duration goes.
Right.
But if someone invested $1 million and their tax went up to, $30,000 a year, then they would recover that cost associated with that for a duration.
Okay.
So that's why on the application, what we ask is a description of the property and the investment, the amount of contamination,
Right.
all right, and then the redevelopment, what it's going to be, and then we come back to the council for approval. So the council could do 30%, could do 100% with 2/3 vote. So for example, on the Beaton and Corbin property, we felt the property was upside down. The value to clean it up is in excess of $1 million. So if he puts up a building worth $2.5 million and incurs $50,000 in taxes, it would take 20 years, we would cap it.
It has to be capped.
It has to be
Right,
capped
right.
at the 10-year. So the developer bears the risk of the extra $500,000.
And then,
There's that 50 grand a
so
year.
when you talk about that the council has the authority, that's our range. We have it from 30% up
Up to
to
100
100%.
with 2/3 vote of the council.
And that's on a case-by-case basis. It's depending on, and we would have an idea of all those factors, all the variables. Okay.
And then we would get in contact, the developer has to certify through their professionals, LEPs, licensed environmental professional, that this was work that was completed and whatnot. And that's why, again, we're trying to be frugal but fair. So on a case like Beaton and Corbin, where we're going to earn $50,000 in taxes, we get zero now.
Right,
So we're going to eventually get something positive out of it.
right, okay.
And then you're also going to enjoy the multiplier effect. Someone pumping in $1 million into our town with fuel and, picking
Right.
up lunches and whatnot. And then generally speaking, when things rebuild, it helps the area.
The area around it. Okay, thank you.
I hope that explains it.
Yeah, it does, thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions or clarifications? Yeah, Jack?
Madam Chair, Lou, I got one question for you. Is there a certain level of an environmental study that needs to be done to qualify?
Yeah, usually what happens is it's going to be triggered into your first phase one, obviously tells you what the uses were in the history. Phase two, they'll do some preliminary testing and it goes into the third phase where they actually describe what the remediation process will be. You get a rough estimate of what the contamination is. So for example, our original rough estimate on Beaton and Corbin was about $600,000 or $700,000. It escalated up to well over $1 million. Then you find a cesspool and it goes on. I think the Forestville industrial plating, the original estimate was $400,000 or $500,000 and ended up at $700,000. So in the current environment, with the increasing rate of diesel fuel and labor costs, as you very well know, what you're projecting from today versus 5 years from now, those estimates can increase significantly, which is why we have it certified as well. And then the benefit to the community is we cap it at either the cost or the duration. So we're here to help with some of the risk,
But not all of it.
but not all of it. And it's a back end, they call it. It's almost like a refund, but you have to pay to play. You know, you have to invest that money to get it back. But sometimes it's enough. When you're doing a pro forma for a bank, they like to do certain projections looking forward. And when you have tax abatements, like even in our enterprise zone, they're very helpful to a bank knowing that, you know, your first 5 years or 7 years or whatever, there's a recovery period. So it really helps with the financials, especially in the first few years where it's usually the toughest. And on real estate developments, there's what's called an absorption or capture rate. So you can put up a building, doesn't mean you're going to rent it first day, especially when you don't know when it's going to be available. You could say, I want to open up a garage today and I'm going to rent your space, but if it's not ready for 2 years or 3 years, you know, and that's where we work with the developer as when the clock starts. So if it's partial construction and they want to get earlier return, then the clock starts.
Okay.
If they wait and the clock starts later, we're going to get some of the revenue on the partial construction.
Yeah, that I think that's very important because especially when I've done some phase one, phase two studies, and usually it's always bad news. So obviously this would be, you know, something that then the town would help out, and I think this is a great program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Dietz.
I didn't have.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was, I saw the hand on the
That's all
side.
right.
I'm sorry,
Thank
Paul.
you, Madam Chair. No
Go
worries.
ahead.
Lou, first of all, thank you for all you've been doing on this site for many years. It's been how many so far?
7 since we got the grant or applied for the grant.
Yeah, and many more before that.
95
Yeah.
before that.
So thank you for your efforts. I know you're passionate about making sure something that's meaningful for the town goes here, and I appreciate that you continue to work with you know, prospective owners who can help with this. The question I would have is, since we're in a public hearing, is it possible you can give more details about the plans for the site? So you're talking about a tax abatement for the remediation, but is it in accordance with the specific plan that's already of record? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't have anything site specific. We will have something
Yeah,
coming.
this is a public hearing on the actual
Very
ordinance
clear.
itself. Later on in the meeting, you're going to have an applicant who wants to apply for it. So this is just for the public hearing on the ordinance itself.
So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks
Anyone
again. Lou.
else? Yes, go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Lou. And also, for the record, can we just specify that what we're dealing with in this language is specific to real estate taxes? It doesn't impact personal property tax. That potential tenant owner of the property would be paying from day one. So that's another major benefit to the town, is that we hopefully would see an increase in personal property.
You are correct, sir.
Thank you.
And again, the council has control, you know, to negotiate based on the investment by 2/3 majority vote, especially.
Thank you, Lou. Are there any other comments or questions from the council? Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Just another comment, Lou. I also just want to echo some of the thanks. Programs like this are really beneficial to our community. We hear often a lot about sites that this would pertain to that have a lot of blight, and the fact that we can offer some type of assistance to remediate them and help our community, we really appreciate it. And I know that's your wheelhouse, so thank you for your efforts
Thank you.
on our behalf.
Yeah, so far since that initial request for public hearing, we've had at least 3 indications of interest. So I think we have an application this evening. So it's well received.
Thank you. I would like to open it up to the public. If anyone has any thing to say in favor of this, feel free. Hearing none, if there is anyone who would like to speak against this action, please come now. Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much. We'll take it up during our regular meeting. So we're going to close off the public hearing at this point in time, and we're going to turn things over to the clerk. Madam Clerk, would you call our roll?
Valerie DiPaolo.
Here?
William Diedzik.
Here.
Tom Lombardi.
Here.
James Morelli.
Here.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here.
Jack Perry.
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky.
Here?
Michael Del Santo.
Present.
Victoria Triano.
I am here. Could we all please stand for the prayer? I would just like us to remember also during this time the states that have been so affected by the terrible tornadoes. They include Kentucky and Illinois and Tennessee, and there are other states as well, and there are people that are suffering so much. So let's also remember them at this time. And I believe Mike Del Santo has the prayer.
Heavenly Father, give us grace tonight to understand that the impact we make upon this community is not just for today, but for the generations who will follow us. Help us to do what is right and, if need be, courageous. We commit ourselves, our decisions, and the town of Southington under your care. Amen.
Amen. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. May I have a motion on our previous minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Good.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any additions or deletions or anything? Yes?
Just a comment, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I will be abstaining, but I did have a chance to read the minutes and watch the video.
Great. Thank you. Any others? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
And we have one abstention. Very good, thank you. Let's move right along to item number 3, person's communication, please. Yes, Tom?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few items this evening. I will be brief. First, I wanted to thank the Barnes Museum on December 4th. It's one of the best kept secrets in town that a lot of families do take advantage of. They offered the Christmas photos, and our friend John Notation takes the photos. So my family took advantage of that. It was a wonderful session. So thank you to the Barnes. Second thing is the council received an email today regarding the property tax exemption for veterans. And the individual who emailed us did lay out some facts about how the council has not looked at the dollar threshold since 2015, and there's a $67,200 income threshold on that. So through you, Madam Chair, I would just ask that the town manager, in conjunction with the town assessor, maybe take a look at some of the information regarding this matter, and maybe we could revisit it either at our January or February meeting, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. That'd be great.
Lastly, we received some wonderful news this week from our friends over at the YMCA that the Polar Plunge over at Camp Sloper will be taking place on Saturday, February 26th. And I know everyone's going to be away on vacation or work commitments, but last year, 2021, the team politicians, we put forth our largest team that I've ever had. So it was a wonderful year last year. So I'll certainly be emailing out some more information and fundraising activities on that. So Saturday, February 26th, and look for me to be talking more about that as the date comes closer.
I'm sure
Thank you,
will.
Tom, for representing all of us. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And that's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Go ahead, Paul.
Not Mr. Diesick.
Mr. Deeds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a handful of items, and you'll have to excuse me because I did forget my glasses, so I'm going to do my best to read my notes. No, thank you. First of all, I wanted to just say that, Madam Chair, you and I did have a touch point with the superintendent and assistant superintendent as part of our commitment to continuing to enhance communications across boards. And I know you have further plans around that. Look forward to that. But I just want to say thanks to Steve Medancy and Frank Pepe for hosting us and kicking off some discussions there. Really appreciate that and look forward to continued collaborations with the Board of Education. A couple other items. First of all, I wanted to say thanks again, Madam Chair. You had worked to set up the bell ringing for the Salvation Army. Yeah. And I know I was not able to attend, but I did have an opportunity to attend another bell ringing after I was feeling a little bit better with the Salvation Army. So thanks to also the other counselors, Tom, Mike, Val, I believe you were out there, Jim and Bill. And Bill had some family members as well supporting at the Salvation Army.
They got cold.
I'm not sure how long they lasted,
They were very little.
but they did. So thank you, everybody, for supporting the Salvation Army. I did have an opportunity to join a group of folks making leaves over at the Leaf Farm. So a little plug for Mark Ramsey and the Leaf Farm there. It's holiday season, so if you're looking for decorations, wreaths, cemetery boxes, some other decorations for around your home, check out the Leaf website. Give Mark Ramsey a call and see if there's something there that might work for you for the holiday season. And then lastly, I wanted to say thank you. I did have, again, a few weeks ago when I wasn't feeling great, I did watch online, Madam Chair, that you were taking part of the Interfaith Thanksgiving event.
Yes.
And I want to say thank you for that. You know, you don't often see the inclusive nature of those type of events with many different faiths coming together, and seeing you there as a leader in that capacity as well was really nice, because I know a lot of the people in the community were talking about that afterwards. It's a nice event that I've seen now the last handful of years. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, I have something. We received an email earlier today that former high school teacher, Mr. Boyles, is being honored for the Betty Crower Humanitarian Spirit Award. And there's going to be a celebration on Sunday, December 19th at Hardcore Sweet Bakery right here in Southington, 168 Center Street. And they're asking that some pet supplies and dog food and pet supplies are brought to this event. So if everyone's available to attend this Sunday, December 19th, 2021 from 11 to 3. Honoring Mr. Boyles, who was a former teacher at the high school who we all probably remember. Wonderful.
Great. Anybody else have anything?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. So I have a few things I wanted to bring up. First, I just wanted to, I would like to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Just want to wish that to everybody. There's been some great acts of kindness through the holiday season. So I know there's been a lot, but I just wanted to point out a few. There's a resident on Edgewood Circle who put up a holiday display in her front yard. Jennifer Giacovino Baptiste, I think is her name. She took donations, non-perishable donations, and is bringing those to Bread for Life. So a nice way to, decorate your yard and do something to kind of pay it forward. And Ocean State Job Lot in Southington, they've been investing back into our community. They gave a very large donation to the Southington Animal Control Facility. And I guess there'll be some more coming. So that's, just a shout out to them for doing that. And yesterday I was able to attend, Counselor Jack Perry had his event with Santa for the kids and a toy drive, and it was quite successful. I actually saw Mr. Urso at Target. We were buying our toys to bring to the toy drive, and great event. So it's just nice to see these things going on at holiday time. And then just a couple things that have come up. So I met with Mr. Medancy today, too. I was very interested in the conversation that he had at the Board of Finance. So I'm wondering if, and I know the Board of Finance had invited him to be at their meeting, so I'm wondering if that might be something that so that we all stay on the same page. If maybe Mr. Medancy can be invited here at one of the upcoming meetings to be able to talk about, I had a good talk with him about the budget and
Yeah.
where that's going to be going. So
I think that would be very good to do. And so perhaps in the second January meeting, maybe we can, let's double check.
As
and
a
make
matter of fact, I meet with the superintendent every month.
I know you do.
And we talked about going to each other's meetings. So
That'd be great.
starting with the new year, I'll be going to the Board of Ed for maybe quarterly, and he'll be coming here quarterly.
I've been attending every month, all of their meetings lately. And so I think it's very, very important,
Okay.
especially as we're coming through the COVID situation and the money that was flowing last year obviously is not any longer. And so it'd be good to see where we are and how we can move forward together. So,
Right.
yeah,
and-
I'm all
right.
for that.
That-
yeah.
I think, okay, thank you. That would be great. And I also wanted to just mention, if we can, there is another alternate, a ZBA alternate that was up. So
Yes.
do we need a motion to add that to the agenda tonight?
I believe it's on the agenda. However, I
There's
believe
a
it's.
second one, Madam Chair.
Excuse
that-
me? I'm sorry.
There is a second alternate that is up, and it has not been put on the agenda. It was Tony Mazzarella's term is up,
Oh,
and so it should be on the agenda.
no,
We'd have to check on that, Kathy.
It's on the website. If you pull up the website, Kathy.
we're going to double check that.
Yeah, let Kathy check on it. She's got her document.
You don't have it with you? 'Cause I thought it was filled. We will certainly double check.
Well, you can just check, we can just check on our phone, check on the website, because we have a name for tonight. So it would be nice if we're going to appoint one alternate, if we could appoint the other alternate as well.
Yeah, for us for this evening, we are going to have to table. We do not have a name for tonight. But if you want to put
Can we
yours
put
on-
ours forward
Of
and,
course, as a matter of,
Use that spot.
we'll use that spot.
okay, perfect,
Be
perfect.
perfect.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Are there any other announcements? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a couple announcements. First of all, just because we were just talking about appointments, and town attorney's here, I can, I guess, ask him myself or someone else. Because of your role now as town attorney, your seat on the housing authority, is that something else that we need to put someone else on, or can you are you still remaining on the housing authority?
So originally, when I was appointed here, I checked our regulations. There was nothing that prohibited me from serving.
Okay.
I still am serving in that capacity, and my term expires the October of 23 or 22, 23, I believe.
Okay. I just didn't know because we haven't had a town attorney on an appointed board, so I just didn't know. But that's good. Thank you. I just wanted to give an update on STEPS because I know I shared it here and we were very interested. STEPS is continuing the conversations in partnership with the police department in rolling out the new curriculum. That has now gone to the Board of Education, Curriculum Instruction Committee. So it's moving forward and hopefully we'll have an update to share in the near future. But I just wanted to keep everyone in the loop. I know people were very interested in that. And again, it's in partnership with the Southington Police Department, not replacing any program.
That was
It's
important.
truly in partnership.
I had wanted to meet with Megan, and then something happened. I was called away at work, and I couldn't meet with her. But yes, I've heard that I would love to hear more about it. It is a whole new direction, really. So I got a little concerned when I
No, it's
but
good.
I hear it's great. So
It's good.
I'm looking forward to it.
A couple people already mentioned it. I also did some bell ringing for the Salvation Army. I couldn't attend that day for the council, but I did 2 other days, and I'd really like to encourage residents to consider making a donation to community services. In this case, it's through the Salvation Army to help families in need, especially. Really, I'd like to say coming out of the pandemic, but we're still in the pandemic. So many people need it. And then also there was a letter sent to the paper from Bread for Life, also with the holidays coming up, looking for any type of help that we can give to residents. So please consider donating if you can to those 2 organizations, certainly, Salvation Army or Community Services and Bread for Life. And then finally, I'm wondering if we could move something else forward that we had talked about, I think in the last council, I don't think we've talked about it here, but the public transportation. And Tom, I think you brought it up towards the end of the last term, but it's been a while, and honestly, the pandemic kind of slowed down a lot of those conversations, and things at the state were a little different. But I think we're in a place now where, if we could, I'd like us to revisit that conversation and
We should be
and
brought
have
up
some-
to date. And Tom, you had requested for it to be, to look at, to be up to date on the whole transportation issue.
Yeah, and I think the issue that we had was we had a lengthy discussion about it on the council floor. Was it 2 or 3 years ago?
3 years
it
ago,
was
yeah.
maybe 3 years ago, and the state was supposed to come back to us after their findings and study and things like that, and we haven't heard anything. So maybe through the town manager's office they can reach
We
out.
have a representative who goes to that particular one, and I think I briefed, maybe it was the chair, that it has been brought up, and the study has not been completed yet because of COVID. So yes, so the study that we talked about has not been completed by the state of Connecticut, so.
So I guess my point is I want to be proactive, not reactive necessarily. And there was reference back in April about Kara from CROG, Capital Regional Council of Government, working with Lisa Rivers of the Connecticut DOT. And again, that was back in April. So I'd like us, if we could, let's
sure.
continue the conversation here. And
It's important, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So maybe we can get an update on.
Yes, Mrs. Turnquist is our representative to that transportation committee, so I'll have her give us an update at the next meeting, I think is probably January is the next CROG meeting for transportation. We'll have to
Okay,
bring it
so
up
as
at that
soon as
point.
she hears and gets
Yep.
up, that would be great.
Mark, can you ask her to contact this Lisa Rivers before she meets with us to just maybe get an update from Lisa as to where they stand?
Be great. Very good. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to say a couple things. So yesterday I held an event, Meet Santa event down on the town green at the gazebo. It was a great turnout. Had over 150 kids show up and see Santa, and it was nice to be able to do it outside, especially with COVID and using our town green. We have a beautiful gazebo down there, and it allowed parents to feel comfortable. And Santa assured me that he was fully vaccinated, so that was a good thing, to be able to see a little bit normal Santa event versus last year. Last year, my little guy, we went to a place that had plexiglass, so it was nice for him, even though he was terrified of Santa. It was nice for him to be able to get, closer with Santa and sit on his lap and be terrified. He's 18 months old. So brought the toys today to Southern Community Services, and Janet, she does a great job down there, and she thanked me for it. And it was, she says this year's looking very good, for the Southern families in need. So that's another great service that we have in our town. Another thing that I want to address or ask questions about is I've had a few residents reach out to me, and I actually was having a conversation with somebody at Dunkin' Donuts the other morning about Bradley Hospital. The question has been, raised several times now of what is going on with Bradley.
Yep.
We saw in the paper that 5 homes sold for a little over $500,000. So residents are starting to get concerned that Bradley Hospital may be being dismantled again, or that concern or that conversation that we should maybe have with them to make sure that, it's a staple in our community. We've all been there, and it's something that I think we need to be proactive with.
I had a conversation with Gary Hephan, who is the vice president of this hospital, New Britain and Mid-State, and he has asked me to set up a time in January to speak with him. It will not be at a town council meeting, though. So once we find out a little bit more, they're in the very beginning stages. I'm not privy to anything like anyone here on the dais, other than to just report that there are some things going on at Bradley, none of which that I know of have anything to close the hospital at all, but there may be additional uses for the building, medical uses for the building. So I think we'll learn more in January. And, Bradley, of course, is a private organization, and they've been very good about keeping us in the loop when there are things about to change. And so, speaking to Mr. Havakon, so as soon as he's ready, I'm sure he will let us know what's going on. But I will, of course, invite him anytime he'd like to come to the meeting. I think it would be very nice.
Madam Chair, if you wouldn't mind having the conversation with Mr. Havakon, see if he would mind extending the invite to maybe some more council members that could attend.
I certainly will ask him if we can do that so we can all be privy to the information.
Yeah, especially since, again, we're getting questioned, and I think it's very
Sure.
important. It's been in the
Sure.
papers, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of concern in the community.
Sure.
Thank you. And then last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is at the last council meeting, we were talking about the appointments, and you made a lot of comments about some concerns about me owning a garbage company and my background with trucks and understanding them and having the qualifications to be able to do federal DOT inspections on them, and that there would be great conflicts with me serving on the Public Works Committee. I think that was very unfair because, again, the Public Works Committee is a supervisory committee. They give advice to the council, and the council has the ultimate say. So I want to go on the record that if there's anything that I will have any conflicts with, I will definitely recuse myself. And I filled out, the ethics form that I was supposed to, which lists all my LLCs. So I don't want anyone thinking that, again, I ran for office to have a gain. I did not decide to run for office to financially gain off the town that has been so grateful to me. So I think that's very important. And I also, that being my second meeting, making a motion to adjourn while I was still talking, I don't think is the right tone here. We're all in this town. We all love this town. Let's have these tough discussions right here. I don't mind.
There was no tough discussion. What you're not understanding, Mr. Perry, is that there was no tough discussion. I made the appointments, and I made the appointments based upon your involvement. What you may not know right now is that the Public Works Department enters into contract negotiations all the time with people who are similar than you in their business opportunities. And it would be so inappropriate, Jack. I cannot believe that you are still having this conversation with me. And you went not only here on the floor, which would be appropriate, but then you use our letterhead and go and post publicly using the names of the other council people on that letter. I want to say to you, you are not going to be assigned to the Public Works Subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
And that settles it.
Madam Chair, I had
No
the
point in
floor.
us discussing.
Madam Chair, I had the floor. So again.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
There's no point in us further discussing it. It's done.
But Madam Chair, based on when we all signed the.
Gary, do you understand what I just said to
We
you?
all signed the Robert's Rules of Law.
Excuse
that,
me, do
again,
you
while
understand what I just
Madam
said to
Chair.
you?
Madam Chair.
He has the right to talk.
All right, then.
So again, I hate that the tone is being set this way. Again, I'm going to continue to go to all the Public Works Committee meetings. I'm a councilman. I was elected to represent this town. Everybody has known my background. And again, I'm entitled to go to those meetings. I'm going to go to those meetings. And I'm going to ask the town manager's office to include me on the communications, the email communications of Public Works. Again, everybody knows what I do. I've never hid it. I never said anything. And I do one thing for the highway department. I do one dumpster, and I stated I'd give that up. So again, I'm going to end it at that. I don't want to, keep going around in circles, but I think the fear mongering has to stop, and we need to work together for the town's best interest. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dietzick.
So this conversation, I remember it now. So Chris, you were the chair in 2017. And I remember when we did the ordinance committee, I was the only attorney on the dais. And you did a great job. I'm not questioning your appointments or anything like that. It's not at all. But I didn't sit here on the floor and complain about what committee I didn't get on. I worked harder. We got the majority. You elect a new chair. That's how it happens. I didn't complain that I wasn't on the ordinance. It reminded me that you just said that. I don't think complaining is what people in Sullyton want. Go work harder, get the majority, get a new chair, and then you can get your Public Works.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead, please.
so to go back to the happier things, we talked about the bell ringing a lot, and I just want to say that I did have an opportunity to ring the bell for Salvation Army. And I want to thank everybody that came out and generously donated. You know, we are in a time of tough economic situation, and we didn't get change. We got a lot of green in those buckets, and people were very, very generous. Also, we singled out a few people that did and are doing great things. And I can tell you as a resident that there are a lot of people in Southington that do a lot of good at this time of year. There are some unsung elves that do a great deal for the children that are needy in town. And they know who they are, and I want to thank them as well. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just real quick, just to add to Jim, and when, I don't remember if it was Jack or someone said it, ringing the bell for at Stop and Shop, I had no less than 3 different situations where folks came up and they said, my family used to depend on the Salvation Army. And every time I passed one of these red kettles, I put money in. So it was so heartwarming to hear so many people that have recovered, that used the Salvation Army in the past, and it almost brought me to tears. It was really, really wonderful. And the people, Jim nailed it. The people in this town are so generous when it comes to giving, and everyone really opens up their hearts and opens up their wallets for things like this. It was really great, other than the time where the wind blew the kettle over and opened up, and money was blowing all over the parking lot. And thank God people were coming around the corner handing me money. And Peter Santago I was talking to Pete, and I was freaking out because the wind was whipping and it was blowing money all over the place. But I believe we collected it all. So if you find any money in the parking lot, Stop and Shop, please bring it to Community Services.
Amen. That's right.
That's it. I just wanted to say it was just wonderful, the generosity of the people of Southington. They never let us down.
And you're right. There, so many people do things and you don't even know it. Janet, I'm down there all the time, and I see people just coming. I was driving by. Here's $100, or people just care for one another, and that's wonderful. I have just a couple of things I want to add. Starting in January, we will begin the committee of the chairs. And I will work out that with you, Mark. We'll set up a time that works for everyone, and that'll be great. Again, working for more communication and transparency. And the other thing, there's been some talk about stuff going on in the Housing Authority. And although Alex is here in the role of town attorney, I just wanted to say just something general. We have a terrific Housing Authority commission. And they are working very, very hard. And Alex is one of the people that are on it. And those issues that have been brought up lately, and we've read them in the paper, and some of us have gotten phone calls or whatever, what I've done is I've asked everyone to refer them to the Housing Authority, the folks that are put in place to handle them, and they are doing a tremendous job. And so I'm very pleased right now with the turn of things. They're more attentive and getting back to people, and I see things really doing well because of our Housing Authority Commission. And so I just wanted to say thank you, Alex, and to the rest of the commission, Sharon and Mike, and just very glad that you all are there. So, all right.
Madam
Yes,
Chair.
are there any other
Madam Chair,
communications?
can I say one more thing? I forgot to mention when you mentioned January, because it's right around the corner. I partnered up, or my company partnered up with Southington Land Trust. They are doing a Christmas tree recycling this year. So I did it last year with them. It's one of their fundraisers. And anybody that needs to get rid of their Christmas trees, you go to the southingtonlandtrust.org and you could sign up, make a $15 donation. And they're picking up Christmas trees January 2nd, January 8th, and January 15th. So I think it's a great opportunity, and it's another fundraiser. A great group of individuals that do that each year to try raising some money. So,
Great,
thank you.
Let's move on to item 4, a report on special committees. Public Works, Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had our first meeting of the new slate on 12/1/2021. We're continuing discussion on the West Street, Prospect Street accidents. Unfortunately, there was another accident since our last meeting back in October. And, unfortunately, this one was human error, but still, it's still necessitated more discussion about the dangerousness of that four-way intersection. And, the chief actually wasn't at our Public Works meeting, but we gave him some homework to look into some things further, and we're still working on getting a traffic study done.
Yes.
And so hopefully by our next meeting, we'll select someone to conduct that traffic study. So more to follow on that, but it's still on the agenda. We're still working hard to come up with a plan that works best for everyone in town. The moment we've all been waiting for, the bulky waste transfer station new schedule is out for 2022. So you can go on the website and you can download it to your phone to make sure you don't miss a week, because they do alternate in the winter months and they're open every Saturday in the summertime. We spoke about leaves. Leaves have been a bone of contention this past fall. I guess, because of the weather, the leaves were falling a little late. So I think the town did a great job. They actually did a double pass of the first 3 zones. The 4th zone was a little later, so it didn't get a double pass. But, next year we're going to come up with a plan that maybe works, that actually for people like me, that simplifies the direction of when leaves get picked up. It'll still be the same way, but instead of saying, north, south, east, and west, we could actually probably pin the street names and make it a little easier for the public to know exactly when they're coming for their leaves. So that's the discussion for a later date before next year's leaves get done. We continued with our discussion on the school access walks and the necessity of them, and the possibility of maybe there are some school access walks that are no longer necessary. So I've asked Peter Romano to come to our next meeting and kind of give us the rundown about school access walks. We'll have a lot of questions for him. And the last item was the Rails to Trails to Plainville line is being held up. There is a company that the Rails to Trails traverses, and they're not comfortable with the Rails to Trails going over their property. So they're in deep discussions with the state right now, and more to follow on that. But that project is being held up because one of the companies decided not to allow the Rails to Trails to go through their property. But more to follow. Hopefully the state can negotiate with this property owner and figure something else out. But I'll have more to report on that hopefully at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Very good. Any questions for Mike?
Just quick, so Mike, is it a Southington property owner or a
Is-
Plainville?
Yeah, Southington. Yeah, Southington property owner. I'd rather not say. It's
No,
in
you
our
don't have
it's in our minutes. You can read the minutes and figure it out, and that's their choice. This is their choice. But there are some soft negotiations right now to try. I don't think eminent domain is the way to go on this, but I don't know. I mean, it's holding up the whole deal here. You know what I mean? And the business owners being a little tough, and that's their purview.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can figure something else out.
Thank you.
Madam
Anyone
Chair?
else for Mike?
Madam Chair, I attended the Public Works meeting as well, and at the meeting, they did discuss the leaf collections, and I've had individuals reach out to me, and I think it's great that we're going to try doing a little bit different with the communications next year. I think even a color-coded map would be helpful. My own brother reached out to me asking what zone am I in, because he got all confused on the north-south, of each street. So I think that would be a great start. And again, even doing maybe weekly updates on the town's website, I think would be, very easy for us to do 6 weeks, 6 updates. Another thing that I'd like to see, happen is maybe start the discussion now on how we could look at other towns and how they're doing their leaf collections. My family used to have a truck that did the leaf collections with the town as well. So I'm very familiar with how the town of Southington's doing the collection. And there's different equipment out there and techniques that towns are using. Our neighboring town, Plainville, has smaller towns, smaller public works. Our public works does a great job, for the record. But town of Plainville used different equipment, and they were able to do it in-house, no subcontractors, and they made 6 passes through the town of Plainville. So I know Mark's got a good relationship with that town manager. Maybe again,
Jack, have you brought it to the chairman of that subcommittee?
oh no,
No?
I guess I'm
That would
doing
be
it now.
appropriate to bring it through the chairman of the subcommittee, and then he would bring it to Mark and work with Annette to see if it's valid or not.
Okay, so I can
Thank
do
you.
that because I think we could internalize. Another question that I guess I have I was at the meeting, and at the meeting, we talked about West Street. I grew up on that side of town. My grandmother actually was in an accident at that intersection. My brother's friend's truck was flipped over at that intersection. And I think what happens is a lot of cars come down West Street and they don't realize how fast they're going. So we have them throughout town already. So I think, the start may be even just putting some speed indicators. I think people, the cars glide so easily. I think that would be a great thing.
Madam Chair, if I
We're
may.
looking for them on Curtis Street as well.
If I may, I know Jack probably wasn't at the meeting where, maybe you didn't get a chance to review the meeting minutes from the previous meetings. But a lot of the stuff that you're talking about has been looked at the subcommittee. You might want to touch base with Mike to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was, I know we have done benchmarking with Plainville on leaves. There's been an analysis from our highway department who, as you mentioned, does a great job. They've done an analysis of specifically Plainville and others, so you can probably touch base with Mike and get some details on that. On the West Street thing, that's also in the meeting minutes. If you'd go back and take a look at that. We've actually already put speed indicators on West Street, especially coming down the hill, heading southbound. So there's the digital readouts that have been on there. They have to be taken down periodically to be charged. So if you take a look at the minutes, you'll probably find out that they have been using them. There's been a number of other things that have been tried there as well, and there's currently a study going on by the state DOT or by an outside company that's helping us with that. So Mike can give more details, but it might be worth just talking to him offline about it first.
Very good.
Madam Chair, sorry. I know we're kind of extending this conversation, but the leaf zone thing, I think we all get confused. Leaf 1, 2, 3, 4. I always get confused every year. And I'm looking at it right here. There's a download right on the town website where you could find, has your leaf zone 1 street name, zone 2 street name. So all you have to do is find. I mean, I'm certainly interested in seeing what improvements they're looking
there's
at.
got to
but
be a
there
way you
is
put that into an Excel spreadsheet.
I talked with the Councilman Perry. Obviously, I talked with Michael on this. That's all on the website.
Yeah.
But I do get calls now and again, people asking, and I say it's on the website. They looked, so it's on the website. But sometimes we're having problems finding it on the website. So I think it's not more. The information's on the website. We have to make it easier for them to find
with
it.
a link or something.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
there should be a way you put it in an Excel spreadsheet. You put your street name in, it'll tell you what zone you're in, and and the updates, as Mr. Perry said, weekly as to what zone that we're in. But I do need to say something to compare Southington with Plainville. I mean, it's a quarter of the size of Plainville. It's a quarter. It's 1/4 the size. And I looked into it. The analysis is there. Southington's got 207 miles of road. Plainville's got 72. So that's great. Small town. They made 6 passes, but I mean, you've got to do at least a comparison, apples to apples, and Southington and Plainville's not close.
Yeah, the town of Plainville's got six employees in the public works.
Okay.
Yeah, and they use their Parks Department to assist them this year. So we have all the information. I can gladly speak to you offline, Jack, if you want to let me know, but I've got it all here.
I look forward to it.
It's not even a slight comparison. It's apples and trucks. It's not even apples and oranges.
Okay.
So, okay.
I'd like to move on if that's all right.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Apple Harvest Advisory. Chris, could you bring us up to date?
Sure. We had a meeting last Wednesday, and a couple things. First of all, Tom and I are looking forward to probably in January giving a detailed financial report. But basically, approximately, we made a profit of about $38,000 from this year's festival. Of that, I'd just like to acknowledge all the work of the volunteers that certainly contribute to it. And, we're talking a lot tonight about the pandemic and the hard times, and, businesses are suffering too. We had $41,475 in sponsorship donations this year, which is great. Local businesses contributing to the festival. The other thing that we did, because we were as successful as we were, and again, to tie in with some of our conversations earlier, we made unanimously agreed to donate $5,000 in community donations, $3,000 to the United Way. The United Way actually helped us run the beverage booths during the festival itself, and $2,000 to the Salvation Army, again, just to help families in need in our own community. So that was related to that. And then the other thing that we did is we made a recommendation to bring it back to the council to renew the contracts for the festival coordinator, assistant coordinator, and sponsorship coordinator. We didn't propose any changes. As you know, if we look to make changes, we do go back out to bid. So we would like to get started. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda, just renewing the contracts for the 3 Apple Harvest employees. That would be under new business item D.
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion to add to the agenda.
So it would be the approval?
Approval of the contracts, festival coordinator, assistant coordinator, and sponsorship coordinator with the same terms as what they had this
They
year.
were. Very good. So you've made the motion, you approved it. All those in favor signify by
Madam
saying.
Chair, are we gonna have discussion?
Yes, we are right now.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, because we are talking about staff and everything. Mark, you're good with?
Yeah, I'm okay. I planned on bringing it up in January. Obviously, that's what I was planning on doing, but if you want to do it tonight, that's fine. I didn't know, I knew about the first 2, but I didn't know about the sponsorship coordinator. Your guys are all set with that also? Because I was
Yeah,
giving.
I didn't know about it either.
Yeah, because I was giving one of your members of your committee asked me for some RFP stuff. That's why I'm a little confused on that part of it. So maybe I'm wrong on it. But
It was in the minutes.
Okay.
It's noted there and it was unanimous, so I don't
Well,
know why.
we're extending the proposal back to them. They would still have to accept.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Very
But
good.
but again, there was no change in anything
change.
recommended in any of the contracts.
Okay, any
Madam
other
Chair,
discussion?
Then I just wanted to thank Chris and Tom again. I know we've talked about this before, but you
Right.
guys, you really do a great job, the both of you. You're both very dedicated, and it's really great to see you really, and the entire committee as well, town staff who works on it. It's a great event, and it's, I know we probably say it each year, but it also should be noted that this, again, is not funded by the town. This is funded completely through your efforts, the efforts of the subcommittee, all of the money that comes in through the charitable donations and the sponsors and all that. So to hear that we're $38,000 or $40,000 in the plus is a testament to the efforts, and the fact that we can give money back to the community as part of that, the local charities, is just wonderful. So thank you.
What's fantastic about it is think about all the organizations that are down there and what do they do with it? They invest it back in the
Right back
community,
in the
community.
scholarships and donations. So it's great to
It's a great
lead by
thing.
example like that too.
Very good.
you're
Okay.
talking about new business D then? The motion would be
Correct.
added to new business D.
Yep.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried unanimously. Thank you.
One more thing regarding
Yes,
Apple Harvest.
go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Palmer. I was unable to be there last week. I was out of town. But in regards to the donations, as Councilman Palmer mentioned, we didn't just pick United Way because we think they're a great organization. They are, but we didn't just say, oh, let's look for nonprofits to donate to. United Way worked extremely hard to benefit the Apple Harvest by manning an entire beverage booth. And the other entity is Southington Community Services, which is an internal organization. We as a committee, we don't want to get into the business of deciding this nonprofit versus this nonprofit. So there was a systematic approach to that. So
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Yeah, very good. Open Space Committee, Paul?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Very short update. I just wanted to say that we had our first open space meeting last week, and we've adopted our calendar for 2022. We're looking to have some teams work on some initiatives in there, such as the tours of the open space sites, maybe some fun activities on them to promote some of our open space sites, so more to come there. And then 2 infrastructure updates, the Leaf Roof Barn. Got a new roof on it, which was sorely needed. It was leaking for a few years now. And so between the update there and solar panels coming on, I think they're going to be in good shape. And we have the Grosky Barn roof as well, which this council approved a few months back. That is slated to begin, weather permitting, here in the weeks ahead.
Very good. Any questions for Paul? Thank you, Paul. Let's move on to the sewer committee. Bill.
Sure. So good news, bad news. I'll do bad news first. Apparently, there's a warranty dispute. Some of the paint or sealant. Remember what it was, Val, exactly?
It was, right, like the seal, like
Yeah,
a coating or a
the
sealant?
tanks.
The sealant coating on the tank.
Is not working as what it's supposed to be. There's a warranty dispute, which I know the town attorney is working on. I don't know if I want to give a report tonight or at another date. That's fine.
I'm not prepared to
That's fine.
comment publicly on it this time.
So I have confidence it's going to be worked out. My read on it is that it's either the vendor or the contractor, not the town. The other one is the good news. Our plant has won an award. We won the 2022 ACEC Connecticut Engineering Excellent Award for our Sullyton Water Pollution Control Facility phosphorus removal upgrade. We're also still in the running for a national award. So there's I'll call it a celebration on January 24th, 2022. There's a gala, which I don't think we've had invitations yet, but we'll find out.
Right.
Where is it?
Is that the Aperture,
That's the
of
Aperture.
course.
Congratulations.
Perfect.
Val.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
With a tour right after the event.
Well, I'm sure everybody's interested when we find out when the invitations go out. So that's great. Anything else, Bill?
No.
Okay. Any questions for Bill or Val? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on. I just received word that we do have a name. So what for the ZBA? So we are going to move forward. So Val, if you would make a motion to add item E, ZBA appointment for as the Democratic appointment, and we'll take the R, the first one for the Republican.
Sure, I'll make a motion. Well, I'm thinking we'll make a motion to add it to B2,
Yeah.
right?
I have it down for E. Because of the appointment. Oh, number two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, that's number
better.
2 on
Yes,
B.
number 2. Thank you.
Right.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in
Madam
favor?
Chair,
Oh, yes,
I
go
just,
ahead.
Just discussion on that. I do have some, I was looking at my records a little bit earlier. The records that I had showed that the appointment for that position that is being requested to add was up in 2022. So there's a little bit of conflict between what's on the website and the records that I had, which I think originally came from maybe staff mark a year or so ago. So maybe we could wait until next
I
meeting.
defer to Kathy on these, so I don't know.
Unfortunately, when I was updating my list, I did not put a copy in here, so I can't check.
I'd like to ask that we do that one at the next meeting.
Yes, okay, so that would be ours.
No, not ours.
Would be,
Ours is clear. The one that's being requested to add right now for Anthony Mazzarella, it shows in my
He
records
had-
as 2022.
Right, but he believed it was his 4-year term was up in November
Yeah,
of
and in the
21,
website, and I will say, the website says 2021.
Right, and he believed it was his 4
Spreadsheet that was given
years.
from staff some time ago to me was 2022, so there's a little bit of discrepancy. We might have to go back and just, before we appoint somebody incorrectly to a term that may or may not be appropriate, I think we should just
Well,
hang in there one meeting.
Can we contact him? I mean, he knows
During
if
the
he served, he knows if he served.
It would have to be Kathy's office would have to dictate what it is.
yeah, it's gotta go from-
Obviously, if you wish to make the appointment contingent on the fact that the other gentleman's term is over, that's fine. Or if he wants to resign, he can resign. I mean, it's very
If I
easy
can
to do.
say,
Right,
he doesn't
he-
want to
he
continue.
doesn't wanna
Even
continue,
if his
so-
term isn't up. So
You can make the appointment. It's an alternate appointment. I'm not going to go crazy over that. So the big thing is that you can make the appointment. It's contingent upon the gentleman either term expired or resigning. That's fine.
Right, I can modify the motion if you want, Madam Chair.
Yeah. That's,
Because there's no reason, he does not want to continue, and we have a name, we have someone ready, so
Right.
whether it's up in 21 or 22, it doesn't matter. He doesn't want to continue.
you
He
can-
would
you-
resign.
I understand, but he's not here to say he's resigning. I understand
He's
you're
told
saying.
he's told our committee that.
That's why I say
understand that.
It's contingent. It's
contingent.
make the motion,
It's just
appoint somebody
highly-
contingent upon either resignation or
ex-
term expiring. It's fine.
Right.
I'm not sure what the rush is. It's an alternate position.
Right, it allows
It
some.
would look, I think we should get our house in order first and make sure that we know what the positions, that's my opinion. You can call the roll, man.
I feel, again, I've had discussions with Mr. Mazzarella as well, and he stated his term was up. So I think if Val could modify her motion that, contingent, his term is up or he's resigning. He's currently getting his PhD, so he can no longer,
so
compete.
Val, so your motion then would be contingent, is that what you said, Mark?
Yeah, you can
Could
make
be
a motion.
contingent.
Make a motion, put it on the agenda. That's all you need to do right now. Make a motion,
Okay.
put it on the agenda for the D appointment for alternate. And then when they make their motion, it'll be contingent upon either his resignation or term expiring. Very simple.
So I'm ready to move the motion to put it on the agenda.
That's all.
All those in favor of putting it on the agenda this evening signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition to it? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. It's item 2 under appointments. Thank you, everybody. Very good. Moving on to the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have the honor tonight to introduce our new district health director. Susan comes from our friends to the south, Chespercott, which is based in Cheshire. She was one of many people who applied for the position. I had the honor of doing the interviews, and by far, it was a very easy decision for us to recommend and hire Susan. And so she's here tonight as a very important department head of the town of Southington and the district to introduce herself to the council. Susan?
Hi, welcome, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Susan?
Sure. So yes, I spent my last 6 years working at Chespercott Health District. So I'm your neighbor, and now I'm here. And, in the last 2 years, really being embedded in COVID response work. I have originally a background in culinary arts. That's where I got started. And then went back to school for my bachelor's and master's in public health. So I am kind of very well-rounded. I have quite a bit of experience in environmental health as far as regulatory work, which is really our core at a health department. All of our restaurant inspections, salons, all of that, I have a very good understanding of. Going through COVID and going through, working with a 3-town department, which is so similar to the one that we are now, I feel that I've had plenty of experience to come here, and I can tell you it's been a really warm welcome. I jumped right in. I'm excited about it. I think that there's so much that we can do with the department, for not only Southington, but the other 2 towns. I'm working on, although it's only been a few weeks, I'm working on partnering with Hartford Healthcare, Griffin Hospital. We're working on doing a pediatric clinic that'll be in January in partnership with our 3 superintendents. I'm talking with them about their needs. I'm also working with the 3 senior centers for the district and hoping to do booster clinics with Hartford Healthcare. They're wonderful. I think there's a lot of opportunity with this district, and I'm getting my bearings, but I'm ready to kind of jump in, make a few changes, expand our community health, so that we can offer some additional services and really kind of get into what the needs are for our towns. And so I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to, and I welcome any questions. My door is open. I'm right upstairs. But thank you all for having me tonight.
Well, we know where you are.
Madam Chair.
You're on speed dial on most of our phones.
Yes.
We want to just welcome you. It's just wonderful. Does anybody have any
I
questions?
have a question, Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
sure.
Are you going to help us come up with a name like Chespercott? A Cheshire Prospect and Wolcott, right?
Cheshire Prospect Wolcott. I mean, that came up in the
Southington, Middlefield, and
70s.
Plainfield.
Actually, I can't get into it, but we will be discussing a name change since Middlefield came on. We felt it was inappropriate just to keep it Plainville Southington. So we are coming up with a name, but I can't discuss it right now.
I'm going to work. I'm going to help.
It isn't Del Santo et al. Either. It's a different name altogether.
Well, on behalf of the entire town, we want to welcome you aboard. We know it's a hugely important position, and we depend upon you for your expertise and leadership. And I know if you got through with flying colors with the hiring folks that you belong here. And so welcome, Susan. We on this dais and our whole community welcomes you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome,
Very
Susan.
good. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, as I presented to you on at least 2 occasions, the money we're using from the federal government called the ARP money, one of those items, one of the bigger items that we use is going to be for a ladder truck. We presented this presentation to the Board of Finance last week. They unanimously approved us moving forward. And the reason why we're bringing it to you, because in concept is what you approved of it, but as I said to you at the time I presented this, each one of these major items are going to come to you for a separate vote. Because down the road, I guarantee you the town's going to get audited, and we want to make sure there's a great paper trail that this went through everybody. So I'm happy to introduce to you two people that you already know, Chief Paul and Chief Heath. Why don't you come on up and explain to us the process and how much money we're going to be spending?
As you're coming up, I need to publicly thank you. I didn't get a chance during Council Matter Communications. I had an opportunity to attend the firefighters' graduation on Friday in Bloomfield, and Deputy Chief Heath had to take care of me because I was out of my element, and it was wonderful. Also, Battalion Chief Glenn Doobie, and I wanted to just publicly say thank you so much.
Well, we thank you for attending. For those of you that don't know, but Dan Wallace is our newest career firefighter. He graduated from a 16-week program at the Connecticut Fire Academy, so we're all proud of him. So it was quite the accomplishment, and tomorrow's his first official 24-hour shift. So let's see what tomorrow brings. I'd like to thank all of you for all of the support that you've given the entire department, but really to myself and Chief Heath. This ladder truck is basically almost nearly $1.7 million. The cost is $1,698,015.31. We're going to have over a $49,000 savings because the town manager is opting for a 90% prepay and then 10% at the end. We have done this since 2012 when we've contracted with Sutphen Corporation, which is out of Ohio. Just to give you a background with Chief Heath and I, were originating members on the fleet committee that Chief Clark formed back in 2010. We're very proud of that committee. They work very, very hard. This committee basically took a blank piece of paper and formed several trucks off of it. They're all been engines, which are several of them. And into the future, we hope that this continues. But this truck here, it's the largest in our fleet. Our current one is a 2006. It goes to all emergencies with buildings. So anything that you can imagine with natural gas, anything to do with all the way dwindling down from a fire alarm to a building fire. And, it goes to a lot of calls a year. And we average anywhere from a year, when you think of an actual building fire, anywhere to 20 to 30 a year. So with this 2006 NFPA, which is basically our national standard that recommends us to replace this truck after about 15 years, which it is now, if the contract is signed, approved by all of you, it takes about a 15 to 16 month build time. So hopefully that is done this evening. Hopefully we get that contract signed and then work will be underway. This truck will be housed at fire headquarters, which is right to our north. And then the current one will be basically second line, and it could respond out of Station 3, which is on 35 Clark Street. I do have to acknowledge this committee. This committee is led by Chief Heath, who I said last week to the Board of Finance, he doesn't sleep. I like to think I work a lot. He works a lot more. Answers calls from emergencies to every member of our department, and that goes for this fleet committee too, which is led by a battalion chief and a captain. These two basically have worked so hard in getting this specification done, which is over 150 pages, and this is basically what the ladder truck looks like. When I had presented this, because I'm an open book to the town manager, that come January 1st, there's going to be a 10% price increase. The chief and I have been on the phone. We met with him last week, that he even said to us, if I could tell you, Jimmy, what I'm going to get, or the town's going to get more of after January 1st for 10% more, I'd tell you, which is absolutely nothing. There's many manufacturers, not only with apparatus, but whatever Eric and I do for, you can imagine, for other parts of equipment and service. As I said to the town manager, there's so many other price increases, as you all know, that's happening in January, as well as last year. So we're trying to avoid that because that's a substantial number. So that's it about the truck. I just want to acknowledge all the work that he has done, they have done. I appreciate it all. And a lot of it was done when we got the final spec over the Thanksgiving holiday. Not many of us got much sleep, but that's okay. That's our jobs. But thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Madam Chair, I thank the chief because we talked, I believe it was the day before Thanksgiving, and when I found out about the increase on January 1st, I directed him as nicely as I possibly can. I'm going to bring this to the Board of Finance in December, and I'm going to bring this to the council in December because I'm not going to pay the 10%. So that's $160,000. So thank you for all the work you did on that. The second part of it is that I've done this before in the option part of it. Some of you probably remember that if we pay a substantial amount up front, you also get a deduction. And then the first thing I was going to say is, why don't you pay the 100% and get a bigger deduction? The old lawyer in me always likes to keep money in his pocket. So the bottom line is, I don't think that the 100%. I want to keep some percentage in there, always to keep his leverage. So it's in the town's best interest. And I think this is probably the third truck, Chief, I did this with, the 90% up front.
At least, yes.
Yeah,
sir.
at least a third. So it's worked well for us. So my recommendation is that we award the contract to Suffin, and the exact amount of the contract with the deductions will be $1,648,985.12. Chiefs can answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions for the chiefs? Yes.
Just Chief Paul and Chief Heath, good to see you. Do you anticipate any delivery delays with COVID, or we can't even? We don't want to think about that.
I'd like to say no. The contract will be signed by us, along with the town manager.
Right.
And in the contract, it's built in 14 to 16 months.
Right, I noticed that it was.
Let's hope not, but what we found in the past is if we put a penalty clause in the end, all the price does is increase. We've seen this in the end.
Right.
So, that's not in here. So do I think it's going to go much beyond that? I don't, but I don't know what could happen.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good.
I think it's great.
Was that okay?
Yeah.
Good. All set. Jack, you had your hand up?
Madam Chair, thank you guys for coming this evening. I know firsthand how hard it is to order equipment. I've ordered garbage trucks last year that were supposed to be here in August, and they're still not here. So I'm hoping that they could hold to the 14 to 16 months, because the supply chains and trying to get, I actually took delivery of a new truck that's missing the door panel. It's on national back order. They said we could hold the truck. I go, I'll take it without the fancy plastic door panel. It's just a metal one on the inside for now. So hopefully they could hold to that, because, again, the shortages have been bad, obviously. You mentioned the guaranteed. That was another one of my questions, to see if they did any performance clauses in there, because I'm going to be honest, I have 30 garbage trucks. I don't think I've taken one single one on time. Always something happens, a flat tire during transport. It's just something has always come up. But I did notice in here it states that the warranty is part of the I guess the invoice amount. Do you guys know what that warranty is off the top of your?
The warranty in and of itself, it depends on the component. The frame rails, for example, are a lifetime warranty. Excuse me. Paint is a 10-year non-prorated warranty. The basic bumper-to-bumper, call it a bumper-to-bumper warranty for a $1.7 million contract is 2 years, covering every single component. Lighting, electronic sirens, items like that are warranty through the sub-manufacturer, primarily either Whalen, Fire Tech Industries. Those are typically 5 years. Hale, which is the pump manufacturer for the truck, that has a 5-year warranty, and after that it's prorated as well. So each component has its own separate warranty schedule.
And those are all broken down to the specification.
Yeah, just because, again, firsthand owning trucks, I know how expensive one component could be, and I actually pull out as many extended warranties as I can as well, because it just makes it a dollar amount that you have budgeted, rather than, your repair budget go, out the window because of one extra repair for the month. So again, just being almost 1.7 million, that was one of my questions. How about the engine? Does it have after treatment? Is it tier 4?
With the DEF?
Yeah, the emissions.
Yes, it's an emission.
Do you know what the warranties are on that?
5-year on the DEF, and there are also parts off of Cummins. I do believe some
It's
of those
Cummins engine, yeah.
That's either lifetime or 10-year for some of the smaller components like the sensors and the heater. So
You guys done your homework. That's all I have for questions. Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions? Paul, did you have questions?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question, just a comment. As a testament to the question and answer that you just went through, I wanted to say thank you. You know your stuff, and I also wanted to say, we're very fortunate to have the two chiefs that we have. And, we talked about the battalion chief, Glenn Doobie. I was speaking with, I want to just take a minute to recognize the team. I was talking to a couple of firefighters just before Thanksgiving, and it was a little bit after the fire on the other side of town with the bakery. There was a building with the bakery on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike where we had some issues there, and we were chit-chatting a little bit, and the two firefighters from Southington were talking about how fortunate we are to have such good leadership in our town in the fire department, and and they were saying how evident it was because you don't always see this in departments, but the battalion chief was running incident command on this. And if you had listened over the radio, these two chiefs standing with us here today both suited up and were both standing with the firefighters going in the building. They were with our teams, suited up, doing what the firefighters do day in and day out. And, when your leaders stand beside you and they do the same thing you're doing, it instills confidence. It makes them feel good that you have a good leader who knows what they're doing and is willing to do anything that they ask you to do. And so I wanted to say thank you. I know I talked to you before the meeting to say thank you, but publicly I wanted to say thank you for the leadership that the both of you are providing. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Vice Chairman speaks for all of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you, Chiefs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No further questions. Madam Chair, we'll move on to the Board of Finance.
Yes.
The vast majority of the Board of Finance meeting was that presentation you just heard. I just want to tell you we're in good shape on our revenue side. We're approximately $700,000 above revenue budget at this point, which is good. We're almost halfway through the fiscal year. The other item that we discussed obviously was the engine, and then as Val mentioned earlier, the superintendent and their business manager was invited to talk about what the concerns of the Board of Finance and all of us are, and that's both on the government side and on the Board of Ed side, is that the money we've received through the federal government, through the 3 different programs, and the 3 more on the Board of Education side, that both the superintendent and I are both very much aware that the Board of Finance, as well as this board, want us to plan accordingly so that 3 years from now, when the money is no longer available, we don't have a taxpayer cliff. So that was all part of that communication. Answer any questions you may have on that.
Yes, go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have more of a comment for the town manager, and I think it was briefly mentioned earlier. But at our last meeting in November, I spoke about the federal money that came in and how proud I was of the way the town manager and the director of finance and the board of finance handled that. It was clear, concise, appropriate. Within days, I believe it was, the state made the announcement that they're hiring Cohn Resnick, an accounting firm that I'm very familiar with. I've dealt with professionally. They've signed on to audit all 169 towns in the state on how the funds have been used. So I just want to say I'm looking forward to having Cohn Resnick come into Southington, and I'm looking forward to presenting those results to the taxpayers. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
I'm never looking forward to auditors, but I agree with you in this particular case.
Very good.
There's no further questions on the Board of
Any other
Finance
questions
minutes.
for the Board of Finance minutes? Yes, come on.
Not a question, just a comment, because Vicki, as I was with you at the Board of Education meeting, and I just want to reiterate, because they mentioned at that meeting too about the 3-year plan with the finances. So, again, just because we're talking about the Board of Finance, I think it is good to have some communication up front, and I think we're all on the same page with that.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
The next item I have, Madam Chair, is that you had a public hearing tonight on the Brownfield Cleanup. We have a request to be part of that particular ordinance. Tonight, we all know the project very well. We may not know the current future owner of the property, but we know the project very well. He's a representative from Mass Development Corporation, Mike Massimino. Michael?
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Massimino. I represent tonight GR Realty Associates. We're under agreement to acquire the parcel over at Center Street and High Street, known as Greenway Commons. And I'm here tonight in the event that the Brownfield Tax Abatement Program is voted positive to consider the subject property for the program. We've been involved with the property for a little over a year. We've been under agreement. We've had several amendments and done a ton of due diligence from a quantifying the environmental issues out there. Right now, we're approximately between $10 and $13 million to successfully clean up the site and to develop the site into its fullest capacity. The property is been approved, of which we currently have valid approvals to construct over 245 multifamily units mixed between condominiums and apartments with a retail component. So I'm here tonight in the event that it's a successful program to consider the subject property.
Specifically, could you talk about the environmental issues that you face on the property?
Sure. So the property has several issues. It has lead, it has oil, there's some PCBs, and in tandem with that, it's within a floodplain. So the actual site development plan, putting the environmental aside, has a floodplain that needs to be moved. So it's, about 50, 60,000 cubic yards of material that needs to be moved, and a lot of that is contaminated. There's actually some hot spots of oil that's actually still generating and self-generating in the ground. So once the construction commences, and we have to actually identify where it's coming from, most likely it's coming from an underground tank. As you know, the property had a structure on it which was demolished and was supposed to be, totally cleaned up, which it wasn't. So it's we also have a water course that's going on, and we're in close proximity to the town well. So that's a lot of, we've hired formerly Milo and McBroom, they're now SLR, who's our LEP of record. So it's dealing with the actual site plan and some of the typical site challenges in tandem with the environmental challenges.
And you understand the terms of the proposed ordinance?
I do.
Obviously, he's here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
2 questions for you, Michael. Thanks for coming. First of all, appreciate you making the trip and being out here, and thanks for putting your best foot forward and trying to take this site to a better place. Can you describe a little bit just about the mix for your plan, retail versus the 245 units? Can you just generally describe what the plan is? And did you give the number? What do you think the overall cleanup is looking like directionally?
Yeah, so right now the range in the cleanup, and there's a range just based on some of the unknowns. It's about between 10 and $13 million. As far as the actual approved site plan, as it stands today, ultimately what was approved is all we have at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
We are only under contract. We're scheduled to close on or before April 6th. Excuse me. We're scheduled to close on or before April 6th. But quite frankly, with the actual estimates that we've had, and we've quantified them multiple times with, different due diligence tactics, ultimately a program such as this is pretty much the only way that, we as a group are going to be able to proceed with this. That said, focusing on maybe redesigning, we haven't had, honestly, we weren't even putting our efforts there. It's more or less just kind of validating of what the actual costs were. When we initially got involved with this project, it was told that this was going to be 10%. I mean, we're told it was $1 million to $2 million. So it's kind of been the core focus to how do we get through this.
And for the town manager, do you have any idea, order of magnitude, how much was already spent so far? With the previous efforts for cleanup?
Well, the current owner has at least a $3 million plus from the state of Connecticut loan on the property. So at least $3 million at this point. My answer would be probably more than that, but at least $3 million.
I think it's important for the public to know that, we're talking $3+ million already in the current state that it's in to get it where it is today. And then we're talking another possible 10 to 13 million just to get it cleaned, not developed, not marketable. It's just to clean it up.
And we actually have to inherit that $3 million debt that this seller actually currently has.
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
And I just want to be clear here that we could talk for hours this evening regarding the project, whether we like it, whether we don't. It's already been approved, as you stated, but you're here this evening to specifically request that if we approve the tax abatement the Brownfield Cleanup Program, you would be interested in applying, and that's what we're looking at this evening. So
This is the actual application.
this is the actual application of the tax abatement program.
Correct.
So I look forward to many more discussions on the project, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Yes, go ahead,
Just a
Chris.
comment, Mike. I want to thank you for your interest in this. Obviously, the reason we do these type of incentives is to clean up property in town, and that is a core piece of property for our community. So I want to thank you for being here tonight right away for our community, and we look forward to potentially working with you.
Thank you.
I just want to add to that too, Mike, and just say thank you very much for coming with such a vision and determination, because that is a very key section in our downtown, and so we thank you very much. Any other questions for Mr. Massimino?
I just have one comment on behalf of Mr. Perillo and I. This is
Yes.
one aspect where this property cannot be developed without this type of program.
Very
you.
good.
Thank
Seeing
you.
no other questions, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that's it for my report. We have a very brief executive session. There'll be no action outside of executive session.
Okay, very good. We have the town attorney's report.
Just briefly, Madam Chair, just an update to the council. Mrs. Turnquist and Attorney Taylor have reported to me that they have solidified the official abandoning of Whitman Road, which is also known as the Sportsman's Complex Road. And the paperwork will be filed and recorded with Clerk Larkin's office by the end of this year, and the town will no longer have responsibility for the maintenance, upkeep, plowing, et cetera, liability of that road.
Terrific. Anyone with further questions? Thank you so much. Anything else?
That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moving forward to public communication. If anyone in the public would like to come and speak, please come up to the microphone now. We'll give you 5 minutes. And we will be respectful to you, and we hope you'll be respectful back to us. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob Sargent, 25 Birchcrest Drive. I'd like to give a shout out to Councilman Jack Perry for the thing he put on downtown yesterday. It was nice. It was really nice to go down there with Santa, and they covered all the bases with hot chocolate, and realized how old you are because I had my grandkids there, and we went over to the monument and saw their great-grandfather and uncle's names on the monument.
Wonderful.
For World War II. But, maybe this town should look at doing something in the winter. Anybody remember they had back when I was a kid and I got sleds now, they had snowmobile races down in Rec Park. Anyone remember that? People used to get out and do things in the winter. The town had been behind that. They had snowmobile races down there. We did some things in the winter. I don't even know if they open up an ice house here anymore for ice skating. I don't even know if they do that anymore.
Yeah. What happened this? I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to.
We do have an ice skating rink. It's over by
Is it
Memorial.
open yet?
Yeah, I didn't.
It's not open yet. It won't be open for a while yet.
I mean,
Ice is a little wet.
you got to get these kids out. My kid is 16 years old. This is not the world that it was when we were 16, and it's not good. Oh, there's no reason for winter. People were out. People were hop-hopping. It was cool. Nobody cared. It was nice. Oh, I'd like to give them a shout-out for doing that. That was a really good thing, and maybe the town needs to look at some of this. We got parks sitting there all dead all winter. People will come out if we had the right things done. You might have to drag your kid's rear end out there, but I think people would come out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Last call. Hearing no other voices, we're going to close public communication. And let's move on to item 8. Let's go to old business, action on the public hearing, Brownfield Cleanup tax abatement. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Val. Any discussion? Yes.
I would like to, Madam Chair. I think the tax abatement plan is the town manager had said, it's necessary. I'm not always excited about long-term tax abatements. I think in this case, we're enabling, as the town manager said, something that for sites that we absolutely can't do something with them and we can't get them cleaned up, at the very least, get them cleaned up so that they're not an environmental hazard, we have to do these. So I'm going to support.
Very good. Any further comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate what has been said, that that is such an important piece of property in our town, and this can move it in that direction. I think that's just really going to benefit our community.
Thank you, Val. That's very good. Anyone else? Yes, Jack?
Madam Chair, I want to echo all that as well and thank Lou Perillo for all the hard work that he does for our town, because again, without getting creative and stuff, some of these properties that we have in our town will be eyesores. Years ago, we purchased a property at 897 South Main Street. It was an old abandoned gas station, and it was a lawnmower repair shop, and it was a lot of risks that we took, and we found tanks in the ground. But it was our goal to find a property that was kind of an eyesore and rags to riches. But it's nice to be able to see programs going into place to help speed that up. So thank you, Lou.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'd like to have a voice vote on this, please, Madam Clerk.
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Dietzick,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. It is unanimous. Action on the ladder truck contract. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
And seconded by Paul. Thank you very much. Any?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, but I want to be very specific. The contract is to Suffin. If you wish to add to motion, contract is to Suffin with the 90% upfront amount for $1,648,985.12. Would you incorporate that in your motion?
I'll amend my motion to add the information provided by the town manager.
And I'll amend my second.
Thank you so much. Open for discussion. Anybody want to discuss this at all?
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I just want to thank the chief for being here this evening and answering all my questions that I had. I think, again, this is, a huge purchase for our town, but safety should always be our number one. Earlier this year, I experienced a fire in my garage with one of my garbage trucks, and the fire department was there within minutes. So I could have lost a $300,000 truck, but because, again, we were giving them the proper tools to do their jobs, they're able to keep us all safe. So
Very good. Anybody else? Hearing none, would you take the roll, please?
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Dietzick,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes. Congratulations. Item C, action on the report of the Board of Finance.
Motion to approve is presented.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll move the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Item D, action on the request of Michael Massimino.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd like to say something, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So I think very material to my decision in supporting this is going to be the size of the pollution. If a similar applicant came to me and it was a very small amount of pollution, I don't think I would necessarily just rubber stamp and consider it. But because this one has such a significant amount of pollution, that it's very material to my decision in this application itself.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, yes, please.
I would echo the councilman's comments. One thing that I would like to pass along as this progresses is, I haven't been overly excited about the specific sites, the reduction of the business or the commercial activity over the years as it's evolved. I'm excited that we have you here, and I'm excited that you have a great plan in front of you and some confidence that you can do something. I would just ask that as you get closer to the end zone of cleanup, that you consider the commercial component. And I know a lot of that's going to be dictated based upon the economic environment and what have you. But to the greatest extent possible, I ask you to consider trying to maximize the commercial opportunity down there and continue to revitalize that area for us. And I'll be supporting.
Very
Madam
good.
Chair.
Yes.
I just want to thank Mr. Massimino for taking a chance. People know the way I feel about this property. It's been a long time coming, and I'm very concerned that this is our last chance. And I'm just tired of driving by and looking at that eyesore. We need action, and I'm hopeful there's a diamond in the rough, with cleaning up this site. That's figuratively, not literally, but if he finds some diamonds, hopefully, I doubt he will. So I want to thank him for taking a chance on us, and this could be our last chance. I don't see any other way.
Okay, thank you so much. Any further discussion on the matter? I'd like to call the roll, please.
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Diedzik,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Keep us
Michael.
posted.
Yeah, let us know. It's
Good luck.
exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Merry
much.
Christmas.
Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Lou.
Yes, thank you, Lou, for your work. Item 9 on new business are the tax refunds.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the tax refunds that were presented to us, and I just want to go on the record that I have no relation to the Perry that is getting a tax refund.
Second that.
Okay, thank you.
Condition that it's not related to Jack.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that disclosure, Jack. Thank you. Item B, appointments. Now, what I want to do is go through the first appointment, which is the Republican appointment.
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Yes.
there's a zoning board of appeals alternate that I'd like to make a nomination for Chris Mullins, 90 Woodfield Road.
I'll second that, Madam
Do
Chair.
you have a second? Any discussion? This is a Republican appointment to the as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. I'll just call.
Zoning Board of Appeals. Zoning
What did I
Board of
say?
Appeals.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alternate.
Zoning Board of
It's
Appeals.
an alternate to the Zoning Board of
I'm
Appeals.
brand new at this. It takes me a little time. Excuse me. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 2.
Madam Chair, I want to just have a discussion on this one, if that's okay.
Sure.
Well, I can save you, I can save what
I
you're
wanted to
probably
just
going to say. Tony Mazzarella contacted us. So his term does expire in 2023. And it is wrong on the website. But we believe he wants to resign. But because we don't know for sure if he wants to resign, we don't want to move forward.
Okay.
Thank you, Val.
Okay, so
Then a table is necessary.
then we'd like to table because that makes the most sense to get the answer from him.
Motion.
So I'll make a motion that we table.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that, there is, just for the
Motion-
public.
Wait, motion to table. Is there a second to motion to table?
Okay, discussion. I didn't know you
I had the floor.
I knew you were going to do it, but
But
you had
a
to.
motion to table supersedes any discussion that's
Yeah.
going on.
Right.
Did you want to say something, Paul?
We can vote the motion to table, and then I'll say something if it doesn't pass.
For what?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You need to take the motion. You need to call the motion.
Okay, very good. All those in favor to a motion to table?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any oppositions? Are there any comments?
Just that when somebody has the floor, that we shouldn't interrupt. We shouldn't interrupt. We should allow the person to have the floor. That's all, Madam Chair.
That's fine. I agree, and I apologize for interrupting. I just figured I wanted to get that out so that you would.
It is
Go
important
down
for
a
people
path.
to know that there is Democrat representation currently on the Zoning Board of Appeals alternates. So even without the nomination, if this person did step down today, there is still Democrat representation on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I want to make sure the public knows that. There is still a
There's two of
person
each.
that's there. There's two people, so there is another one. So that's all I was.
Okay,
I
very
wanted to
good.
make sure.
All right, we got it done. Very good. The next item is item C. It's the appointment of the Library Building Committee. And I would like to just,
Do you have a list?
yes, I do.
Okay, can I have it after you're done?
Yes, you may. The following are appointed to the Library Building Committee. Jim Morelli will be appointed as chairman, as a representative of the town council. And we have Mark Lovely, Seb Bovino, Paul Champagne, Ralph Warner, Brian Oblon, Bob Tonin, Jeff Swain, Mary Baker, and Christy Sadowski, and of course the town manager or his representative.
Christy Sadowski is an ex officio member, not voting.
Yes,
I'm a voting member or my designee.
that's it. So those are the names that will be serving on the Library Building Committee. Now, Mark, I know that minutes are taken on the building committee. Do we pay for someone to take the minutes, or do we?
We have money now. We have $16.9 million available to us. So that the committee will get together. I'll form the committee.
Okay,
The committee, I'll work closely with Jim on it. We'll pick a date to meet.
yes,
An organizational meeting.
Yeah.
The first things we have to do, discuss the RFP for construction manager at risk or whatever.
And
And then also soon thereafter, an RFP for the architect.
Yep.
And then the big things, of course, is the interviewing of both those and then the recommendations to the council. Once we have a construction manager and an architect on board, we get the construction manager first, then things just start moving.
yeah. And you know, Mark, for discussion at the first meeting, there was some talk about, someone approached me and explained that perhaps an RFQ would also be appropriate prior to the.
They're the same, yeah. they're the
Okay,
same.
very
Yeah,
good.
the RFQ and RFP process for professionals, the way we word them is very similar.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. There you go. And we'll work,
These meetings are all open to the public,
Yeah.
and we take minutes for all of them.
very good. Thank you so much.
Mr. Shota, would I be able to be included on any correspondence through email?
We don't give correspondence, internal correspondence on committees, but certainly any meeting that if you want to be on the list of sending agendas out to, just Kim will put you right on the list. So just let her know.
I'll send
We
her an
send out agendas to anybody who asks us. They don't have to be a council member. They could be anybody in the public, as long as they put it on our list.
It's open.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Is there any other business? I'm looking for a motion.
No.
You need your,
I'd like to make a motion to appoint the Apple Harvest, reappoint.
Yeah, it's item D.
Item D.
We added an agenda.
Right, we did approval of the contracts. It's right here. Yep. So,
positions, right?
Yep, there's 3 positions.
Yes.
So they are the
We'll do
The festival coordinator,
coordinator, assistant
festival
coordinator,
and the sponsor.
and the sponsor.
Can we make, Madam Chair, can we please make 3 separate motions for the individuals? I'll make the first. I'll make a motion that we reappoint Dave LaPre as festival coordinator with the same terms as his previous contract.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move the motion. All those in favor of Dave LaPre continuing in that position signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. The motion carries unanimously.
I'll make a motion to award Julia Bardinelli, the assistant festival coordinator, for the same terms and conditions of the current contract.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll move the motion. All those in favor of Julia Bardinelli, continuing in her position as vice
Yeah, assistant
chair,
coordinator.
assistant coordinator, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries unanimously. Third one?
The third one, I'd like to make a motion as suggested by the Apple Harvest Committee to appoint the sponsorship coordinator as Melissa Kakuza from A Balanced Life as the sponsorship coordinator.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the sponsorship coordinator. Is there any discussion?
I have discussion.
Yes,
Madam
go
Chair.
ahead.
Madam Chair, the first two motions we made this evening were very important to make because of the January 1st deadline. We wanted the coordinator and the assistant coordinator to get working right away. There is still some conversations going on with the festival sponsorship coordinator. So I'd ask that the council vote on the contract with no changes tonight, but I do want to say that there may be changes with the sponsorship coordinator, and if there is, we will come back to the council in January.
I vote on it.
Well, then why would we-
approve it now then, Tom?
Because they're as approved by the Apple Harvest Committee, there's no changes on it. So if I'm just saying, if there and if she has the ability to accept the offer, if there are changes, we'll revisit this issue in January.
Fine.
Any other further questions on this? So we are moving forward with Melissa Kokoza as sponsor chair at this juncture. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
What's that?
We didn't vote.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm going
No, I
to
know, we're still in discussion.
I'm going to abstain from this one because I do work with her husband.
Okay.
I'm going to abstain from this vote just to be transparent.
All right, so could we get a voice vote on this? There's no other further discussion, correct? So let's move the motion, and could we get a voice vote on this because there was some discussion on it?
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Diedrich,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Abstain.
Japlinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so could we move into, do I have a motion for
Madam Chair,
executive?
motion to exit out of our regular meeting into executive session.
Second.
And that would be barring the press?
Barring the press and the public,
inviting
yes.
the
Including
town
the
manager?
town manager.
Inviting the town manager and the town
anyone else,
attorney.
Mark?
No, town attorney and town manager. And we are going to be using this room, so obviously if you could clear the room, we'd appreciate it. Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Take care, Al. We'll see ya. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, we are. If she just one thing.
I'm sorry I had that coughing jag. I don't know. Wow.